1.14, evaluating expressions in the order of operations. First part we're going to be going over is evaluating each expression here. For example, A, we have 5 times 2 times 3 minus 8. So we want to use PEMDAS with this. We want to do what's in the parentheses first. So we are going to do the 2 times 3, which is 6, so it's 5 times 6 minus 8. Then we do the 6 minus 8, which is negative 2, so it's 5 times negative 2, which gives us negative 10. For example, B, we have 2 times 4 times 5 minus the absolute value of 3 minus 6. So we're going to do the 4 times 5 and the 3 minus 6 first. So this is 2 times 4 minus 5, which is, 4 times 5, which is 20, minus the absolute value of 3 minus 6, which is the absolute value of negative 3. The absolute value of that negative 3 is 3, so that's 2 times 20 minus 3. 2 times 20 is 17, negative 17, so 2 times negative 17 gives us negative 34. For our next part, we're just dealing with exponents. For example, 2a, we have 2 to the third power, so that's like saying 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. For the example B that we have negative 3 to the fourth power, so that's like saying negative 3 times itself 4 times. We know that negative 3 times negative 3 is 9, and 9 times 9 is 81. So negative 3 to the fourth power is 81. For C, we have negative 1/2 to the fifth power. This is the same thing as saying negative 1 to the fifth power over 2 to the fifth power. So negative 1 to the fifth power is just negative 1, and then 2 to the fifth power is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, which is 32. So that's negative 1 over 32. For square roots, when we're working with those in order to evaluate them, we can just find the prime factorization of that number and group up our terms based off of our index. If we're dealing with a square root, our invisible index is a 2. So like for example A, we have the square root of 64, so we're looking for groups of 2. 64 is 8 times 8. This is a group of 2, so we pull 1 8 out to represent the 2 of them, and it's just 8. For B, we have the square root of 9 plus 16. This is the square root of 25 because we just add the 9 and the 16. 25 is 5 and 5. Once again, we're looking for a set of 2. We have 2 5s here, so 5 is the square root of 9 plus 16. For C, we have the square root of 3 times 17 minus 5. Simplify the 17 minus 5 first. That gives us 12. So that's the square root of 3 times 12, which is 36. So that's the square root of 36. 36 is 6 and 6. We have a group of 2 there. So that's 6. For example 4, we're just evaluating these expressions. So for A, we have 5 plus 2 times 3. We want to do the multiplication first, so again, PEMDAS. We would do the 2 times 3, which is 6, so it's 5 plus 6, which gives us 11. For B, we want to do the 9 times 2 cubed. We want to do the 2 cubed first, which gives us 8. So it's 9 times 8, which is 72. For C, we have 6 minus 4 squared cubed. So when we do this, we want to think parentheses first. We do the 6 minus 4 squared first. That 4 squared we're going to simplify. So this is just going to be 6 minus 16 cubed. Then we want to do the 6 minus 16, which is negative 10. So that's negative 10 cubed. And that negative 10 cubed is negative 10 times itself 3 times. We want 3 zeros there, so that's going to be a negative 1,000. For D, we have 40 divided by 8 times 2 divided by 5 times 3. So order of operations, multiplication or division from left to right. Left to right, so we'll do the 40 divided by 8 first. That gives us 5 times 2 divided by 5 times 3. Next, we'll do the 5 times 2, which is 10, divided by 5 times 3. Next comes the 10 divided by 5, which is 2, times 3, which is 6. With example 5, for A, we're just evaluating the expression negative 2 to the 4th power. This is the same thing as saying the opposite of 2 to the 4th power. So that 2 to the 4th power do first. We get 16, so it's the opposite of 16, which is just negative 16. For B, we have negative 5 squared. So again, same exact concept. We have an opposite of 5 squared. So that 5 squared goes first. We're going to have the opposite of 25, which is just negative 25. For C, we have 3 minus 5 squared. So we're going to simplify what's in those parentheses first. So the 3 minus 5, that gives us the negative 2 squared. Now, because this negative is inside parentheses with the 2, it's being squared as well. So we're just going to do negative 2 times negative 2, which is positive 4. For D, we have a negative, or the opposite of 5 squared minus 4 times 7 squared. So inside those parentheses, we're going to do the 5 squared first. So this is going to give us the opposite of 25 minus 4 times 7 squared. Next, you want to do the negative 4 times 7, which is going to give you the opposite of 25 minus 28 squared. Do the 25 minus 28 next. That's the opposite of negative 3 squared. Then do the negative 3 squared, which is 9. So the opposite of 9 gives us negative 9. For example 6, we're just evaluating. So for A, we have 10 minus 8 over 6 minus 8. Do the 10 minus 8, that gives us 2. The 6 minus 8 gives us negative 2. A positive divided by a negative is a negative, and 2 divided by 2 is just negative 1. For B, we have negative 6 squared plus 2 times 7 over 4 minus 3 times 2. So we're going to do the 6 squared first and apply that negative, because remember, it's the opposite of 6 squared. So that's negative 36 plus 2 times 7 over 4 minus 3 times 2. Next, we are going to do the multiplication, the 2 times 7 and the negative 3 times 2. It's going to give us negative 36 plus 14 all over 4 minus 6. From here, you want to do the negative 36 plus 14, which is going to give us a negative 22. And then the 4 minus 6 is a negative 2. A negative divided by a negative is a positive, so 22 divided by 2 is 11. For example 7, we're evaluating for A is equal to 2, B is negative 3, C is 4. For A, we have A minus C squared. So this A, we said, was 2 minus C squared. C is 4. So that's 4 squared. So the 4 squared is 16. This is going to give us 2 minus 16. This is the same thing as 2 plus negative 16. So we're going to keep the sign in front of the larger number and subtract the 2, so that's going to give us a negative 14. For b, we have a minus b squared. Our a, we said, was 2 minus b squared. b was negative 3 squared. So we're going to do that negative 3 squared first. That's going to give us 9, so it's 2 minus 9, which is negative 7. For c, we have b squared minus 4ac. So that b is negative 3, so it's going to be negative 3 squared minus 4 times a, which is 2, times c, which is 4. So the negative 3 squared is 9, minus 4 times 2 is negative 8 times 4. Negative 8 times 4 is 32, negative 32, so it's 9 minus 32, which gives us negative 23. For d, we have a minus b over c minus b. We said a was 2 minus b, which is negative 3, over c, which is 4, minus b, which is negative 3. So remember, the two negatives next to each other turn into positives on both the top and the bottom. So we have 2 plus 3 over 4 plus 3. 2 plus 3 gives us 5. 4 plus 3 is 7, so that's 5/7. Lastly, we are letting y1 equal negative 12, y2 equals negative 5, x1 is negative 3, and x2 is equal to 4. We're finding the value of y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. If you realize, this is also your formula for slope. So y2 minus y1 is going to be negative, oops, not negative. Yes, negative 5 minus, right? Yes, y2 minus y1. Negative 5 minus negative 12 over x2 minus x1, which is going to be 4 minus negative 3. The two negatives next to each other turn into positive, so it's negative 5 plus 12 over 4 plus 3. The negative 5 plus 12 gives us 7. The 4 plus 3 is 7. 7 over 7 is 1.